17 newsmakers now and our political analysts are joining us this morning. Neil Sinapa on the left and Kathy Abernathy on the right. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. We know it's been a busy 24 hours and even longer than that for both of you. So Neil, I want to start with you and get your reaction this morning because you were here last week this time after the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. And you said, had the election happened right then, you thought Republicans would win it. How does this change the race now with Biden announcing he will not seek re-election in November?
Well, I think it's a completely different race. I think that there is very much a reset. I think a lot of folks after watching that debate with Biden's performance and with Trump really just being the same Trump that we've seen for the last 8 years, is that having someone new at the top of the ticket, and then when VP Harris makes her VP pick, having a fresh ticket, I think is going to be beneficial. I think it's going to boost a lot of Democratic voter turnout, especially when it comes to younger voters. Overall, the fact that we have someone who is a seasoned prosecutor going up against Donald Trump for the presidency, I think is going to bode well for Democrats.
Kathy, of course, there's a lot of attention on what Democrats are going to do right now because President Biden dropping out, and there is a lot of behind the scenes. You're seeing the DNC, you're seeing a lot of Democrats, starting to prepare for what comes next as she officially launches her campaign for president. For Donald Trump and Republicans, they're also trying to prepare. How do you go against this new candidate? Of course, for months, since the very beginning of this, Donald Trump has been putting his focus on President Biden. How do Republicans now shift what their messaging has been to prepare for this new candidate just a little more than 3 months before Election Day?
Well, actually, nothing's changed. Kamala Harris has been part of the Biden-Harris administration. Everything Biden has promoted, she's been the cheerleader for, including no border control, including abandoning Israel, basically. So it's not anything unusual to campaign against her because she's part of that same administration. Nothing's going to change with the Democrat agenda. That's been clear. I think what happened to them last week was, I think J.D. Vance being part of the Rust Belt area, which is a critical races, they decided, oops, we better change. But it's so significant that we have a president, leader of the free world, in hiding, that his staff and all the people in the White House have known for months, if not years, is not up to this job, and they've been hiding it. And now here, they say he's in COVID, he's going to put out a press release, and they pull him out of the race. And he's been on the ballot, and I don't see it. Democrats should be screaming about this because there's a lot of good governors and senators that could have run for president. And they knew all along they were carrying this man, and it just came out more so in the debate. So it's a big, serious political issue for this country that this kind of game, this goes on in Russia, this goes on where all of a sudden the guy's gone and a new guy's in. I think people should look at that too right now.
Are Republicans a little disappointed though that it's not going to be a rematch of 2020? I mean, Biden, of course, defeated Donald Trump in 2020, and there's been this, talk. It's been part of kind of both campaigns that it was going to be a rematch of 2020. Are there Republicans that are a little disappointed that it's not going to be that rematch? No, because like I just said, the issues.
There wasn't the border issue when Trump was leaving the White House and when he was running. There wasn't the inflation. There wasn't gas double the price. So these things have changed. So those issues are now the issues. That's what people want to hear about. What are you going to do about these issues? And both Biden and Harris, they were supporters of all the things we've seen gone on the last 4 years.
All right, so Neil, let's talk a little bit about, we're talking about Harris as if she's the nominee, and she is not yet. Who are the other potential contenders for that? And do you think that they stand a chance against Harris in getting the nomination?
Yeah, I don't think we've seen anybody emerge just yet. I know that Joe Manchin was looking into potentially trying to get the nomination at convention. It seems as if Democrats are uniting around Kamala Harris, but I think we'll just have to wait until August to see how the chips really fall, to see if there's someone who's out there planning, who's trying to rally folks around them. But I don't think that it doesn't seem as if, at least, there's a prominent challenger out there VP Harris.
Does this, like Kathy was saying, anger the Democratic Party at all that he waited this late to make this decision? Does this put whoever the nominee will be at a disadvantage, and does that divide the party, or do you think it will unite the party?
You know, I don't think we'll ever really be able to say if it was more advantageous or less advantageous. I think there's some, political scientists that would say like, oh, well, this is like, it wasn't the greatest situation for the Democrats, but this is, might have been the greatest, the best route for them, right? For this switch to happen at this moment. I don't think it was planned at all. I think that this could have been done much more gracefully, probably a year ago, and run out a primary and see where things would fall. But I truly do think that the president thought, the party would stick with him. That I think that debate performance was unexpected.
Kathy's just said this doesn't really change anything going forward for Republicans.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? And
no, absolutely not.
Do you think this changes?
Yeah, I think it changes. I mean, look, the Republicans are a broken record. All they really want to always talk about is they want to demonize immigrants and they want to talk about inflation. Inflation is a global issue right now, and it has been a global issue since the pandemic, right? Prices for everything are a lot higher everywhere globally. When it comes to the border crisis, there are situations at the border. To act as if the Biden administration hasn't enforced a border policy is pretty ridiculous. I mean, to be honest, I wish the Biden administration was more progressive on immigration policy. But to that point, to get to my point is that the Democrats have kind of flipped the script on the Republicans here. They were pointing at Joe Biden saying, oh, he's too old, he shouldn't be in office, he shouldn't be running. And now we have a 59-year-old woman who is extremely qualified to be president, running against Donald Trump, who she has already beat him before by 8 million votes.
Kathy, I want to get your take on the, we talk about there are, obviously millions of Trump supporters and there are millions of Biden-Harris supporters. But then there are the Americans in the middle that are the undecided voters, which, let's be real, they're going to be the ones to decide this election. How do things change going forward? Because we've heard across the country, matter of fact, even in our own reporting here in Kern County, there were a lot of people who were just kind of fatigued about the idea that this was going to be a rematch and it wasn't really exciting them to go and vote. So now that this is kind of a different ticket, a different race, because these candidates are different, what do you think happens to the undecided voter right now?
Well, they'll look at the issues that affect their life. They're going to look at that, as they've probably been doing the last 6 months, because this presidential race has been 24/7 in the news, no matter what's been going on. And let's look at what they've done with the border. 7 million people coming across, and they're not immigrants. Immigrants actually file paperwork and do things legally and all that. These are people, terrorists. These are people running across the border just to get out, get in. We have no record on them. Immigration is actually an issue. It's actually something you go through.
Do you think this is an issue that undecided voters are going to be really focusing on?
Right, because whose jobs are they taking? They're taking the lowest level income jobs, which is taking it from young people trying to start in a job. They're going to be taking welfare benefits that taxpayers are paying more to cover them. You got people in New York City complaining that they're taking money for housing that they don't get, and they've been born in this country. So that's going to be, the border is number one because it covers everything. It covers the costs of living. It covers the lack of law and order in this country. So I think that's the number one issue because it impacts inflation, jobs, everything, and safety and security.
You
and
think
drugs,
that Trump versus Harris excites moderate voters more, though, to vote for Trump? Do you think it pulls in more moderate voters?
Well, I don't think people have a lot, at least people that would vote for a Republican ticket, I don't think have a lot of respect for Kamala Harris from her performance over the last 4 years and before.
Is there a candidate that Republicans can look at and say, because you're saying really nothing has changed in terms of, the issues. Mm-hmm. But is there a candidate, a Democratic candidate that you think as a Republican that could be more of a threat if they rose to the occasion and challenged Trump.
Versus Harris.
Versus Harris, yeah.
Well, I think there's Democrat, Joe Manchin, there's people that think this border should have been secured better. I think there's people that think the Biden administration has gone too far. And there's some Democrats like that, but I don't think they have a prayer. The thing has been stacked.
All right, we are unfortunately out of time, but thank you so much, Neil and Kathy, for coming in this morning. We appreciate it.